As always, to begin drawing anything, we need to think about the placement, composition, and the effect that we want to produce. It's a beautiful drapery. We are going to render it on toned paper that has certain tone and color. And we're going to use the highlighted technique with Conte crayons. You can start using a very hard or medium hard pencil if you feel a little bit uncertain about drawing folds, or you can start right away with a white Conte crayon, because you cannot spoil this drawing if you are working in white for a long time. Let's find out the placement. We have certain geometrical shape or amorphic shape to go with. Here will be the knot, here will be the upper part, then there is some kind of a gap, and between the pinched area and this entire stretch, there is certain relationship. I would say that this is pretty much in the middle. Again, same thing you know already about the angles and Mondrian lines. Here will be this portion. Everything is proportioned, so you can always measure. Here is an interesting twist, and voila, we are done with the placement. Now let's get into specifications. So if this will be our, so to speak, waistline for this drapery, and you can use any images that come to mind. Here is this portion of the fold, and I can immediately start bringing it out with my white Conte crayon, therefore highlighted drawing. We work with light instead of dark, as we normally do with graphite pencils. And voila. We can even do this for fun, light. Then there is certain thickness of it, more layers for the knot, and it sort of disappears. Let's handle the upper part, angles. We have the placement. Now let's split it in portions. I'm now looking for more specific angles and rhythm. I would say if this is here, then there is sort of like a step, and it's not exactly in the middle, the next peak. And this will form this very prominent central fold. Then from about center of this knot area, I see the fold being formed in this way, and then it goes here. This fold is a pinched pipe, and I am going to produce this effect by filling in freely. Again, I won't get tired of repeating that you cannot spoil Conte crayon drawing if you work with white for a long time. Your drawing eventually will look like an underdeveloped photograph. Here is this area with a little bit of a reflected light. I'll specify on the technique a little later. But now we are interested in placement, proportions, and all the good things that we have been talking about and studying and learning. And again, anywhere you see the light, you apply this white stuff. Here is the central fold. On the middle portion of it, there is a very strong highlight. I would call this fold a pipe, broken pipe. Not so broken a pipe. And you already are separating areas, and you will be able to recognize it. And then there is this kind of a thing sticking out. In fact, this is some kind of a horrible curtain from the 70s probably, but it shines so prettily and it has all kinds of interesting effects going on there, so that's why I use it. Then there is another formation, and this is a Y-shaped fold. See? This leg, prongs of the Y, and that is Y. It is Y. As you have guessed, I'm using light as my guide. It's usually a good idea. You don't want to use dark as your guide, especially in contact crayons. And goes in, forms something here. I'm not very precise, I just want to make this demo as quick and informative as possible. Then there is another one, again light, and it hides somewhere here. This paper shades for you. As long as you are applying certain medium on it, the surface will look pretty nice because it has this beautiful texture. By the way, the other side of this paper has a much rougher texture. And I suggest you guys will experiment and put a little bit of contact crayon on both and see which side you like better. I have no recommendations. I use the smoother one just to make it a little bit more organized and neat and accurate for you. And then there is the edge. Here is this triangle. So you will spend at least an hour and a half to 2 hours at least on developing this drawing in white content only. On this side, I'm now expanding the light, so there will be a little bit more. This portion is all light. And I can shade, it's even not a good word for it. I can light quite freely. As with all shading techniques, I recommend you to cast your strokes close to each other and fill it in just by gliding over. See, you can achieve continuous tone pretty fast. And here there is a cast shadow. So see, right here. So I'm going to put this white stuff over, and at some point you'll want to completely get rid of the pores of the paper and to make all the brightest tops of the folds, the lights, as white as possible. For that, you just push the white content in. And what is happening here is that you're using your paper, which has certain tone relatively to the white, as your ultimate dark right now. And you already can create a lot of effects. So let's try to create effects. Here is this pipe fold, and it has a little bit of a reflected light. That's what I'm doing. I'm sort of underpainting it with reflected light. Light, shadow, reflected light, deeper shadow. And I barely touch this area with white, and I will tell you why. Because our ultimate goal is to make the illusion of the piece of fabric over the darker background. If you will leave the color of the background untouched with white and subsequently other colors, you will have the illusion of the whole, not the fabric. So everything must be touched with white, even the darkest shadows in the fabric itself. Separate the fabric from the background by applying white contact crayon. Here you can start discerning details and nuances. All kinds of little wrinkles and reflected lights also produced on your drawing by the white contact crayon. Here is this little pinched area. As many details as you can possibly get, the more the better, and your drawing will be spectacular. You've seen a couple of very nice examples of student work that was their first drapery ever. It's not that people have been practicing on drawing draperies, not at all. Here, a little piece of light, here too, and here I missed one fold. I'm going to make it now. Again, just the light and the shape. I'm following its shape the way I see that. This, generally, this is turned towards the light. This has only a little bit of light on the top, but some sparks inside. It's all form principle. Rounded objects, remember the eggs, and everything that we were talking about. So I'm going to quickly tone this down. Of course, I'm not going to do the whole drapery. My goal was to show you how easy and safe it is to work with white pencil. I would not mind if you will start with the graphite pencil if you want, but you must mind one thing. This is a very gentle, delicate, fragile paper, and also you must have your hands always clean, because a little bit of grease from your hands will ruin the color application. And dark graphite from your initial drawing might interfere with the white, and I'm going to demonstrate in a few seconds. So that is how the fabric should look like in its entirety. And you see it's already creating an illusion, and of course I have not been working on it long enough in order to produce all the effects. But you will get the idea, and so forth. All the folds should be like that. Next step would be to use red contact crayon. For this technique we use white, red and black in order to create restricted palette, add a little bit of color. The color of the paper has absolutely nothing to do with the actual color of your background. I picked this color because I had it, I like it. It can be green, it can be black, it can be red, it can be anything, and you still will be able to create this drawing and this technique to great success. So you see all kinds of very interesting, beautiful, reflected lights and all kinds of nice, glowing, warm effects. And this blush will add life and interest to this drawing. And we cannot overemphasize the importance of working in white almost to the very end. So this is just a little superficial treatment, okay? Now look what happens. You remember that this was the light, this is the shadow, this is reflected light, and that is what happens when you blend with your white contact crayon the application of the red. It sort of lights the whole thing up. It puts it all on fire. It creates this beautiful orangey, pinky, very cheerful, nice color. And also it blends all the imperfections. And then there will be the end of this fold. Now I can give a little bit more definition. So it sort of works both ways. Lightens it up, darkens it a little bit, and you can create greater definition and crispier outlines, and do a little bit of that, and a little bit of that. Then let's blend it again. Of course it is too light. And then right here, we have this extremely dramatic, dark, deep fold. Let's still work a little bit with white over. It's like weaving this fabric literally, making sure that everything is made out of the same material. And at this point, when everything is done like this, to this extent, you can still specify a little bit certain things that should be maybe brighter and whiter, and maybe add a little bit of white underpainting, that's how I call it. But everything should be pretty much done at this stage, the entire fabric. Only then you can take the black pencil and produce and create the real drama. Why you cannot work with white and black right away? That's why. Because if you take white content, put it over something, and then you want to go and make it darker, you can. See? Transparent, beautiful. You can create gradation. You can use this white under layer to your advantage. But what if you want to do the opposite? You work with black, and then you think it's too dark, let's make it lighter. And that's what happens. Basically nothing. You will have this blotchy, dirty looking spot. Therefore, remember that always black over white and red, not the other way around. The only two blendable pencils here are white and red. Red will dominate white, so that's why you should save all the other colors for later use. Here, what do we do with that? We create the most dramatic contrast that exists here. This fold here too. Now we can shade the core shadow. Make it a little bit darker, and at the same time catch the reflected light. Remember, it should be within the shadow area, not where the light is. And then this entire fold inside should be toned down, just as it is there. And at the same time, we see very well that it is not a hole through, but it is the same fabric, but in the shadow, and so forth. What to do with the background? Two options. You can either leave it alone, it works for itself. If you want to create a little bit more dramatic effect, you can use cast shadows. You can find its shape and without red, it will show you that this is a different substance. different material here too. Dramatic cast shadow will enhance the appearance of the fabric, the shiny surface, and all the detailed and nuanced work that you are going to do. Um, Hopefully this has been helpful, and please refer to the brilliant drawings by your peers, students from the past who have been working on this and other drapery arrangements.